see if we're live yet. I think. All right, we're live. Hey, everybody. So this is something I'm really excited to share with you. And it's going to be basically how you can start Amazon, even if you don't have any money. A lot of people ask me, I don't have any money. How can I start a business? And my answer is exactly what we're going to talk about right here. And don't get me wrong, this is something, to be completely blunt and honest, it is very helpful if you do have money when starting Amazon, but there's always a work, or maybe you have some money, but you don't have enough money. This is going to be a live stream where I talk with AJ, and AJ just launched cocktail cards on, and we partnered together, but AJ did most of the work. He's been doing all the hard work here. We just launched a Kickstarter, or technically we ended up doing an Indiegogo, and we'll talk about why later in this live stream. And there's a link down below. If you want to learn more information about cocktail cards, and we'll talk throughout this, you can click on the link down below. It's getcocktailcards.com. If you want to support cocktail cards, and if you want to get it at a super amazing discounted price. So first off, I'm gonna have AJ introduce himself and talk a little bit about cocktail cards. Then we're gonna go into really the meat of this and really talk about step by step how you can leverage Kickstarter, Indiegogo, crowdfunding, so you can start your business even if you don't have a lot of money. And actually, a random side note before I switch over to AJ is, even if you do have a decent amount of money in the bank, launching as an Indiegogo, launching as a Kickstarter can be extremely helpful for getting brand awareness out there, like spreading the message. And it also leads to a better story. So even if you do have enough money to start your business, I think it does sometimes make sense to do a Kickstarter, to do an Indiegogo. So I will have AJ introduce himself and talk a little bit, explain what Cocktail Cards is.
Yeah. Hey, welcome guys. I'm AJ, and I was a bartender for 10 years, and a lot of people always had you'd go to the bar, you'd have a cocktail you love, right? And everyone would always want to know how to make that drink at home. It was always the hardest thing. They couldn't replicate a drink at the bar. So really, we're just trying to figure out something that would be more of a passion product for me. I've always wanted to sell on Amazon. It's been a goal of mine. But copy and pasting another business that's already, or another product that's already out there, didn't really draw my attention. So this is something where it's more of a passion. It's something I know pretty well. And what we're able to do with cocktail cards is literally take 10 years of bartending knowledge and information and pack them into 100 different recipes that are going to be in the box for you. And what's really cool is a cocktail, there's the ingredients. That's one thing. And sometimes finding those are actually pretty challenging. But the real difference maker is the technique you put into your cocktails, the steps you make, how long you shake it, how you do certain techniques. So we actually break down step by step each and every cocktail in the box, from basically everything I've learned over 10 years bartending, which is really cool. And so we're finally here. It's been a lot of work, a lot of research, and a really good learning experience for me as well. So I'm pretty excited. And that's cocktail cards.
So I want to point out a few different things actually. And one is, so AJ launched Cocktail Cards this morning, and the goal is to raise $1,500. So far, he's raised over $1,400, almost hitting that goal. So guys, let's help AJ hit this goal. I guess technically I kind of partnered with him, so let's help us hit this goal. But AJ's the main guy behind Cocktail Cards, obviously. And so definitely, and the one other thing I wanted to point out is this is a great gift. So if you're looking for a gift for this holiday season, we plan on shipping it out before the holidays, before Christmas and the whole holiday season hit. So if you're looking for a unique gift with a really good story, and to get this at a discount right now, it's at $25. I don't know if we settled on what the final price is going to be, but it's going to be probably $30 or over or so, I believe.
Yeah, it's probably closer to 35.
Yeah. So if you want to get basically a gift that's only going to cost you $25, but looks like it's cost $35, and something that has a story and something unique, go to getcocktailcards.com. This is going to be the cheapest you're going to ever get. I think on top of that, there's only 18 left at the super early bird price of $25. So if you're not one of those people, then, you might miss out on that. So you might want to hurry up to go do that. But we're going to get into a few different things here. And one of the main things I want to talk about is obviously the technical aspects, like all the benefits for you guys watching this on how you can use Kickstarter or Indiegogo. And as I said earlier, I want to point out again, in about, what has it been? Maybe 8 hours, less than half a day since you launched the Indiegogo, I think.
Yeah. I launched it this morning at around 7:00.
Yeah. So in that time, AJ's already raised $1,400, and the Indiegogo is going to be open for another 14 days or so, I think. Right. Yeah. And then, so basically the point that I'm trying to show that this works. If you want to raise money to launch your Amazon product, this is a great way to do it. Now, I'm going to point something out. Are we going to be able to raise enough money to pay for the entire production run, design, all that kind of stuff? Well, maybe. We don't know yet. But even if we, even if we don't, it'll make a big dent in it, and it's going to be a cool story, and it validates that before we go spend all this money on production, it validates that there's 32 backers that have raised $1,400. This idea works. And to me, I talk a lot, if you watch my YouTube channel, I talk a lot about creating a product that you're passionate about. And later we'll talk about the whole, how we came up with this idea and everything. But I actually did a video last week where I kind of showed some of the ways I came up with this idea. Obviously, it's really relatively similar to a company I started with my girlfriend, Vino Cards, but AJ had joined the course. And I remember, and I'm sure you remember too, but like for a while, AJ was struggling coming up with an idea. And I'm like, I've got this idea for a product. What do you think? And then he told me, oh yeah, I was a bartender for 10 years and he's got this beautiful bar behind him you can see right now. And I'm like, this is a perfect situation. And in fact, I may end up needing to retell this story later in this live because we're going to be doing some podcast. I'm going to be recording some podcasts, but anyways, a lot of different things I want to talk about here, but it's this doing a Kickstarter, doing an Indiegogo makes a lot of sense if you have a unique product, and ideally a product that you're passionate about. So and also throughout this entire live, we'll be answering some Q&As. I see that there's some people in here. Hey everybody, we got John and M Hayes and Eagle Eye. We got some other people. First off, guys, make sure to smash that like button if you're watching this on the YouTube live, because the more likes we get, the longer we'll keep this up, and the more viewers we're going to get. So anyways, AJ, anything before we get into the first podcast that we're quote unquote going to be recording together?
No, I mean, really just kind of one thing that's cool is seeing everything kind of come together. Like you said, I was in your course and I was struggling a little bit. It's like, I felt like I was learning so much, but I could never move forward because, I couldn't think of a product. I was over analyzing every little thing that I did. So what's really cool is to just finally see what happens when you do move forward with an idea. You do create a brand. You do follow the steps, that you laid out. And really, they're kind of just general marketing steps. A lot of it is real general knowledge that bigger companies use all the time to launch new products. And it's really cool seeing it all come together, and just all the support has been like absolutely amazing. So I think before we jump in, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported us this far. It was mind blowing. Actually, I didn't get much sleep last night because I had some bumps in the road last night, and it was a very, very late night. I only got a couple hours of sleep last night. So I was a little discouraged this morning, but just the massive amount of support right away just kind of shows also how giving starting a business is too, how customers and people you work with can lift you up, which is really cool. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's been supporting so far.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. And like I said, throughout this live, I'll be updating. We're still at $1,400, but hopefully the goal is to hit that $1,500 goal before we end this YouTube live. So right now, and if anybody that's watching this hasn't checked out yet, I started a new YouTube channel and I have a new podcast called The Passion Product Show. So if you guys haven't yet, definitely go to iTunes or your Apple podcast and leave a 5-star review for The Passion Product Show. But what I wanted to do here live is record a podcast talking about AJ's AJ's journey. And we're going to title this one, How to Launch a Kickstarter to Start Amazon with $0. But really what we're going to do is we're going to talk about everything step by step, the entire process. So you know what? Let's go ahead and let me write this down so I can edit this into a podcast. So probably 10 minutes or so in. 10 minutes. Well, we probably started earlier, but 2:10. I'll just take a note. All right, guys. So we'll get started with the official podcast in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Passion Product Show. And this is a very, very special episode. I'm actually recording this live on my main YouTube channel, the Travis Marziani YouTube channel. And I've got AJ from Cocktail Cards. And AJ was a student in my course, and he's really smart and really hardworking guy. And we were, week after week, he was showing up to, if you join my course, I have a weekly live Q&A, and he kept showing up. A lot of people, they stopped showing up at a certain point, but he kept showing up even though he didn't have an idea for a product yet, but he kept plugging away and kept going with it. So I ended up having an idea for this company called Cocktail Cards, and it's relatively similar to a company I launched. And I helped my girlfriend launch called Vino Cards, but similar but totally different at the same time. And the idea behind it was basically a flashcard, a set of 100 flashcards for creating cocktails. And I told him about this. I think I interviewed him a little, not interviewed, but like I interrogated him almost a little bit, like saying, hey, like, what's your background? I told him about the idea. And then he told me, well, actually, I've been a bartender for 10 years. And he's the perfect, the more he talked, the more I realized, oh my God, he's the perfect person. And one thing I want to point out about his story, and something that I think is very fascinating, is I noticed a lot of people, there's almost two different types of people. There seems to be the people that have a ton of ideas for products, but almost can't execute. And then there's the people that have a harder time coming up with ideas. And not that AJ couldn't have come up with an amazing idea. I'm 100% confident he could. But he seemed to be more the person that as soon as the idea was given to him, he freaking ran with it and executed absolutely amazingly every step of the way. And that's just one thing I want to point out. So anyways, I ended up talking to him. We ended up partnering on this, even though he's the main boss, he's a head guy in charge of everything. And so in this very special podcast, what I wanted to talk about, I want to document AJ's journey throughout this entire process. And I'm going to be sharing basically step by step, or I'm going to have him share step by step the entire process. And we're going to kind of go through, because in my course, it's broken up into different sections. And we're going to go through my course and talk about how he did every single step of the course and every single module, we'll call it. And as a random side note, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. I'm actually going to be reopening my course, the Passion Product Formula, this coming Tuesday. It will be October 6th. And I'm going to limit it to 50 spots. So only 50 spots available. Once those are gone. And what's really cool about this, if you don't know about this opportunity, it is basically, as long as you go through, if you complete the process that I've laid out, complete the course, launch a product on Amazon, you can get 100% of your deposit back. You pay a small deposit and then you get it all back. You can go to effectiveecommerce.com/PPF to get on the wait list. I'll share more information next week about that, but effectiveecommerce.com/PPF. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put a link down below to get your name on the wait list. And if you're listening on the podcast, just go there. So enough rambling about me. Let's get into AJ. I know you shared your story earlier on this live stream, but for everybody that's just listening to the podcast, I'll have you share your story one more time.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm AJ. And, I'm actually someone who had been thinking about selling on Amazon for a while. And Travis's course, wasn't even really the first course I bought. I actually went through a couple other courses, but there were a lot of people out there teach you how to do, private label or, slap your brand on a product that already exists and try and fight big competition. And, nothing really ever spoke to me. It didn't seem like a real viable business plan for me. And so I knew I wanted to come up with my own idea, and Travis is really the first one that brought kind of that mindset to my attention, which was great. And that's immediately why I was pretty attracted to the things he was teaching and helping out with. And but like he said, there's two types of people. I really do believe that. There's the people that have a million ideas. Some people that say they don't have enough lifetimes to go through all the products they have. And then you have the other people that can't for the life of them come up with a product. They just want something to build, you know? And that was definitely me for sure. So yeah, I was a bartender for 10 years. I actually gave up bartending to try and work full-time from home and create my own business. So I've been in marketing for a little bit over the last year, which is really cool. It's actually helped me a lot with launching this business. But this is going to be my first real brand and actual business starting from the ground up. So I'm really excited that we're actually here. This is really cool.
And the main reason for doing this podcast, or the main subject of this podcast, is all going to be about this idea that you can launch. You don't need a lot of money to start selling on Amazon. And look, let me be blunt. I don't want to be one of those guys that's going to lie to you. The more money you have, the easier it's going to be in life in general. If you've got more money to throw at something, of course you can make it bigger and better. But don't let that stop you. And one of the things that I like talking a lot about is that you can always crowdfund. You can do an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter to raise money. And basically what you do, if you have an idea for a product, then all you need to do is create a video, create some text, like show a little quick prototype of the product, which you could all do for pretty close to no money. But if you put in enough marketing, now, obviously I'm saying, obviously if you do have some money, it might make it better. For instance, AJ had a video camera and he went and bought alcohol for the videos and all that kind of stuff. But in a hypothetical world, if he already had the alcohol and he could just use an iPhone, it might not be as high of quality, but he could have done it with nothing. And this entire episode is going to be leading up to this idea of how can you start Amazon with $0. But what I want to do, as I mentioned, is take AJ back in time and let's go through the process step by step. And as I mentioned, my course is broken up into different modules. The first real module is more of like a welcome, like mindset, all that kind of stuff. But then the way I have it set up now is create an idea, come up with an idea, validate your idea, brand your product, create raving fans, create a tribe. I also talk about some of the business side of things, then crowdfunding, manufacturing, and ultimately selling and launching on Amazon. Now, since AJ's only gone through the first 4 or 5 modules, we'll focus on that for now. And then from there, we'll do some other fun stuff as we go through. So as I mentioned, I'll talk a little bit about the idea phase and we'll kind of go back and forth. But for me personally, I originally came up with the idea of Vino cards and I helped my girlfriend launch that product. And, it's really awesome to watch her because she launched that product and was able to quit her job and work on it full time. And, she's making enough money. Like I said, she's making enough money from that to be able to pay her bills. Now she doesn't have a ton of bills because she lives with me. And, let's be honest, I take care of the rent. I take care of some of that other stuff, but still, she was able to quit her job. She's able to travel with me. She's making a decent amount of money. She's making, probably about $1,000, close to $1,000, maybe probably close to $1,500 from it. Most people probably couldn't quit their job from that, but for her, she was able to do it. And that was really exciting to see. So in the process of having that idea, I kind of came up with this idea for cocktail cards. And also, one of the things, I recently launched a video on my main Travis Marziani YouTube channel where I showed how to use helium-10 to figure out what people are searching for. And the main thing, if you get one thing away from this whole coming up with an idea phase, is you want to create an idea that people are searching for on Amazon, where there's search volume. Because remember, Amazon is a search platform, but yet there's no product yet that exists. So I saw on Helium-10 that people were searching for cocktail flashcards or bartender flashcards or bartending flash. There was all kinds of stuff. And there was no product like that was out there. I mean, there were some things that were almost close, but they were so bad. It was just terrible. And so that's how I came up with this idea. But then the other part of my formula or my approach to Amazon is you want to sell something that that you understand, that you wish existed in the world, and ultimately something that you're passionate about. I'm not passionate. I like cocktails. I'll drink them, but I'm not an expert. I'm not a bartending expert. Though I don't think you need to be a bartending expert to do something like this. Again, my girlfriend with Vino cards is not an expert, but yet she just looked in Wikipedia. I think it helps though, because you look at AJ and AJ's passionate about it. He's making all these amazing YouTube videos. If you're watching live, if you're watching the podcast on YouTube, you can see his background is a full like bar, right? And so anyways, that's more or less how I came up with this idea and how I recommend people coming up with ideas. I'll have more videos on my main YouTube channel, but AJ, walk us through a little bit your perception of the idea phase and the first real module, and maybe, talk about some of the things you tried that maybe didn't work, and we can talk through that a little bit.
Yeah. So, like I said, I've been through other courses as well. So I've had some training in product research. So I understand, validating a product. You of course want something that is searched. It is a search platform. It's like YouTube, right? It's the same thing. You got to make videos based on what people are searching for. So that's where it was really unique for this product, because there was searches, but the weird part was there was no product there. That's what the weird part was. And anything else that I've ever looked up, and I've gotten really close to trying to launch products, it's just, kind of doing private labeling and doing more expensive products where you can't really go to market at a price. You're really competing for a low price, So that's something you have to look into as well for validating your idea, where I can come out with a quality luxury product and I can set the market because there's no competition. And so really it was just kind of validating. I knew there's a niche for this type of stuff because this is something I'm passionate about. And I know there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people out there who are really into this sort of subculture of craft cocktails. And it's becoming more and more popular each and every day. I see very large YouTube channels, very large blogs. People are just active and they're searching and they want to know how to do something as unique as creating craft cocktails at home. It's fun. It's kind of like everyone wants to be the drummer in a band, right? Everyone also wants to be a bartender at home. It's just kind of something that entertains you, right? And so once there was always that kind of validation, then really something else kind of happened, which is very unfortunate, is our current situation that's going on in America, not being able to leave our homes. And then I started getting a lot of social validation through my product because, like Travis said, you don't have to be an expert to really launch something. You got to be willing to become an expert, maybe, dive in and research and do your work. But me being an expert in cocktails and making drinks, it was mind blowing how many people were reaching out to me, asking how to make certain drinks, right? It's like Cinco de Mayo is coming around and people are stuck at home. Boom, my phone's getting lit up with how do I make the margarita? How do I do this? What do I do with this extra bottle of booze laying around? And that was real social validation as well. It's practical, it's real life. And I try to answer those questions by going on Amazon and searching those terms, and nothing pops up that could really answer those questions. So I say, as far as product research, I definitely used programs like Helium 10 to make sure the keywords are there, they're searched, make sure they're not too overly competitive or saturated. You don't really want to get in a battle of trying to sell the same product as 100 other people, but that's what's really cool about creating something unique. And yeah, after all that, between the social proof, using something like Helium 10 and realizing there is legit people looking for these problems, right? They need some sort of solution to their problem. Being able to jump in and do that, I knew right away that this is definitely something we were going to move forward with. So.
And we kind of talked here, we mixed the idea of coming up with an idea and validating an idea. And that's the thing, to validate an idea, you want to make sure it's something that you're going to want to work on for a decent amount of time. You're also, so there's two sides of it. I think there is the number side, and then there's the emotional side. And I was talking to someone earlier, it's kind of like the logical and the emotional, or I think about it, not to overly simplify things, but it's almost like the masculine and feminine energy. Like you need kind of both those. And I think if something logically makes sense and something emotionally makes sense, it's a real winner. It's like if your heart and your mind agree on something. And so some of the ways that we logically looked at it was obviously Helium 10, making sure that there's search volume, obviously launching a Kickstarter, or the Indiegogo in this case, was just validating the entire process. But there was also the emotional element that AJ has talked a lot about. And one important thing about the course is every single step of the way is just, you're checking in, you're making sure that people are interested in this. And we talk about, in the next module, we'll talk about basically how AJ used social media. He used YouTube and Instagram, and I think maybe even did TikTok at one point to see, is there an interest? Like, are people interested in making their own cocktails from home? And the answer was overwhelmingly yes. And he has an email capture. He started collecting emails to see if people are interested in this product, and he used those emails to launch the Indiegogo that is being launched today. So anything else, AJ, you want to talk about with the validating the product before we move on to branding?
Nothing really for me personally, but of course, that's sort of one of those things that probably change from person to person and product to product as well, because you're going to have different ways to validate. You're going to have, different numbers, different passions and emotions going on. But yeah, that pretty much hits it, pretty spot on with my personal experience.
Yeah, and definitely, and we'll talk about later, but there's different ways to, like, AJ used YouTube extremely well. Some products don't lend themselves as well to YouTube. Some lend themselves better to TikTok or Instagram or podcast or being a guest on. There's a lot of different ways to market your product, but you want to, throughout it, part of the validation process is moving on to the next modules, moving on to the next steps, and checking everything out. So the next module was the branding. And I think this is something we could have a fun conversation about. And let's talk about how the branding module and all that kind of stuff. And I'll let you kind of take it away. How did we, what were some of the steps that you went through in that entire process?
Yeah, the branding was. I feel like we kind of went over this like a few different ways, honestly. Kind of creating a YouTube channel and getting some statistics and stuff and data and information and really filling out, an avatar, your dream customer, the person who's interested in this type of product. Cocktails were a little tough because, I was a bartender for 10 years. I saw people of all different ages, female, men, it didn't matter. They all love cocktails. So you really kind of doing the branding is a little bit has to do with me, at least for this product, because it's very utilizing YouTube, utilizing Instagram, and doing all that stuff. I'm here doing instructional videos, right? Same thing with you and your brand. Your face is on it, so you're gonna attract a certain type of person, a dream customer. You're gonna have your avatars. And I probably filled out about 4 or 5 different avatars, really trying to find out who my dream customer was, and then also cross-referencing that with the data I was getting from YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, which are all really awesome tools that are free for you to use. Once you get content out there, and then after that, I think it was a little bit more just kind of almost going with our gut feeling, if I'm going to be honest. I really like luxury style products. I don't want to be super embellished, but I want something to look premium. I want it to be the highest quality that we can do within the means. And something about cocktails they kind of go hand in hand. I think you kind of think of a good old fashioned or a really good Manhattan as being dressed up and really kind of living an elegant life, right? Not necessarily the case. I have old fashions in my pajamas sometimes, but but that's kind of the mindset where people are at. So I think as far as branding, that was really big, and then getting content out there was so important. Learning how I am on camera, learning how I wanted to do my instructional videos, learning how people react to me. This was all just like really kind of just put it out there and see what happens, and then take the information you get and keep building on it, keep growing it. And we went pretty heavy on branding right away. Like, we understood that we're going to move forward with the name Cocktail Cards. We're going to do videos with the name Cocktail Cards. I'm going to do Instagram with cocktail, like, Facebook, all everywhere. It's just going to be Cocktail Cards. Like, there's no other kind of name or anything. So we branded pretty hard, and I could see it even being a little bit confusing for people. They're like, wow, you're called Cocktail Cards, but yet all you do are these videos.
Mm.
You don't have anything to sell. It's kind of weird. But that's all part of the process, really. It's getting eyeballs, getting people watching you, learning your dream demographic, figuring out your avatar, and really kind of hitting it pretty hard with content, at least for me, with this brand in particular.
And did you end up having one avatar in particular, or was it like maybe two or three, or was it all five that you ended up settling with? Because obviously, like when I look at the box, like this isn't very feminine. Like who is the dream avatar? Or
Yeah,
maybe there's a
it
few.
really seemed like the dream avatar. There was two, I think, that kind of took the lead on this. One was like very dominantly the winner, and that was typically males from 25 to about 50. It's kind of a wide range, I know, but that is where just like a lot of the data was at. About at least half of the people that were interested in the product, half of the people watching the content, and females between the ages of about 35 and 45 were also very, very popular and into the brand as well. So that also played an impact on the cocktails that I chose, because I knew there were going to be a lot of customers. And you're a bartender for a long time. You get a general idea of who your dream avatar, what they want, what cocktails are going to be most important to them. So yeah, those are really the two that stood above all other. And then the rest is just kind of scattered. I mean, there's a lot of people I have some people over 80 that follow the channel and active and watching. And I have people that are just turned 21, it's all over the place. But yeah, those are definitely the two avatars that were most dominant.
And this is a good example of why it's important to pick an avatar. Obviously the branding, the design, the look of the feel of the cards, but also, as AJ mentioned, it's which cocktails do you include? Because if your target demographic was, I don't know, old Japanese men, that's a complete hypothetically, you're probably going to include very different, include a lot more sake based, cocktails or something. But if you have an idea, so that's why it's important, because a lot of people make the mistake of saying, well, my product's for everybody. And the answer is almost always no, it's not. Even Apple, the world's largest company, they're not making computers for everyone. They're making computers for designers, for artists, and that kind of people. Now, can anybody buy them? Yes, of course. But when they make a computer, they're thinking from the ground up, how is this going to be for someone that is making something that a designer or something like that? And the truth is, Apple isn't for everybody, because not everybody's got $1,200 or whatever it is to spend on an iPhone. So that's a very, very important step. And the next, and actually anything else on that, AJ, before I move on to the next step?
No, I mean, really, I would say one thing that is kind of important that I think was a really good learning experience for me, just seeing it come to fruition, is being consistent in your branding. Don't show up and then disappear and then show up again. Show up and be consistent. Let people know you're here to stay. You're a brand that's here to stay. And the more you show up consistently, the more your customers and your audience will show up consistently.
Love it. So the next module in my Amazon FBA course, the Passion Product Formula module, I guess it's 4. I recently changed the numbering, is all about creating raving fans. And this is something that AJ did really, really well. And the idea behind this is, so once you have an idea, you want to create a brand. And once you have a brand and an idea and a product and all that kind of stuff, you want to start getting getting your customers excited about your product and start letting them know that this product's going to be coming out soon. And the way to do that in 2020 and beyond, in my opinion, is going to be the internet, obviously. Now, there's lots of different ways on the internet to do it. The easiest way is social media. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, probably not so much Snapchat anymore. There's also, of course, podcasts, blogs, and things like that. But I think my opinion is YouTube, Instagram, TikTok are probably the 3 top ones right now. If you want to get a lot of eyeballs for really, really cheaply, walk us through that. And I mean, we could probably do and maybe we will at some point, do an entire podcast just on this one subject and an entire conversation on this. But walk us through a little bit. How did you approach this section in getting people and getting emails and getting people following your brand?
Yeah, I think for me, I really focused on 1 or 2 platforms that got the most attention. I didn't want to stretch myself too thin, because there's a lot of production that goes on depending on the type of platform you really go to build your audience. I wanted to go on YouTube. I just think YouTube is still that that premium platform where you get, you know, the highest quality of subscribers. It's a competitive platform to get followers and to get an audience. So you tend to get rewarded for that. I think people are a little bit more loyal. So I really wanted to focus on that. Plus, it just cocktails they're visual. It's a very visual thing, and so I wanted to utilize a platform that allowed me to not only have visual, but the time to go through the process of teaching you how to make a cocktail, and that was probably most important. So I focused on YouTube pretty heavy. I did also focus on Instagram quite a bit, which was good for, you know, posting videos that I could just take on my phone. You know, I have a Pixel, which takes great photos. And you could just create, I was looking at my numbers today. We had almost double digit sales from Instagram, which is really cool. And that's just mostly kind of my photos, and then also reusing my YouTube videos to plug them onto Instagram as well. But I knew it'd be a different audience. So I actually took my YouTube videos and crunched them down to 60 seconds and then threw them onto Instagram. And one thing that I really made a priority with these two platforms is if anyone ever reaches out or contacts me or comments, I immediately engaged with them and started getting open conversation, you know, let people know I'm a real person trying to build a business here. And I would also, you know, ask for feedback all the time, get my potential customers involved in the process of what will eventually be a finished product. And then I really just thought about creative ways to reuse the content from those platforms. So I did go on TikTok, and TikTok's it is a really good platform. I do use it for some marketing stuff that I do, and it's really easy to grow. But I feel like TikTok's a little bit more about an individual versus, you know, really promoting a product. So if I went on there with the main focus of I'm me, by the way, I also have this brand, I probably would have grown a lot faster on TikTok with this particular brand. But that's a learning curve. I'd never been on TikTok before. I didn't know. So yeah, it's a good place to go. I have gotten leads, and I've gotten a lot of people onto YouTube from TikTok, which is a really cool tool to get people from one platform to another. And then utilizing Facebook. I feel like a lot of people put Facebook kind of, you know, they shrug it under the couch, and it's powerful. I got 1,000 subscribers on Facebook long before I had them on YouTube or any other platform. And then, you know, one thing I kind of didn't do very well was grow a group, right? A group where people can be part of the business, help give feedback, help be in the decision making of the overall product and everything I'm doing. And it wasn't until probably just a few weeks ago where I decided to actually give it a little more effort and completely rebrand my group over there and get people involved in that process. And it blew up right away, like real fast. And that's probably where I've gotten 80% of my sales is people that I've sent from all my YouTube, my Instagram, my TikTok. I put them into this group, so that is really going to create a raving fan because they're part of the business model. They're making decisions. I'm showing them, you know, my unfinished cards, my taped together box design. I'm showing them all this stuff and getting feedback. And you know, the more you take their advice and create a better product, the more excited they are to buy that product because they know that it was made with them in mind, which was really cool. So it was a lot of work, really, creating raving fans. But if I'm totally honest, it's probably the most fun of this whole process, at least for me.
And there's a lot of gold nuggets in what you just said there, AJ. One thing though that I want to reiterate is I get a lot of resistance about people. Like most people don't want to start a Facebook group, and I'm like, no, like it's worth it. Please do it. And I'm so happy that you validated that it. You said you got 80% of your sales. It seems like from, and to be fair, the people that were on Instagram or YouTube and then also go over to your Facebook group, they're probably already your big fans, but it's one extra touch point. It's one way to get them a little bit more involved. And I think that it's such a powerful tool that not enough people are using. Even if you're not going to do an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter, I think it's 100% worth doing just before you launch on Amazon. So the next step, well, we won't talk about it this time. Usually the next step is all the business stuff, but I feel like we're still pretty like setting up a DBA, LLC, trademarks, all that kind of stuff. But I think we can skip that for now. And let's talk about Kickstarter. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
By the way, since we are talking about Kickstarter, we did just cross over $1,500. So
No way.
we reached our minimum goal here in like 6 hours.
Wow. Live.
Yeah.
Okay. This is awesome. This is live on the podcast live. So for everybody that's listening to the podcast, I'm also doing this live on YouTube. So $1,500. You can click the link down below. Someone just said in the comments, I'm assuming this is pre-recorded. No, it's not. This is 100% live. Yeah. Like click getcocktailcards.com. You'll see $1,512 is the new amount that,
I have my celebratory scotch that I've been waiting for 1,500 here. So
that's
cheers.
dope. Cheers. Next, by the way, we'll do another pod for everybody listening to the podcast. I think in the next week or two, maybe, or when after this podcast or after the Kickstarter, the Indiegogo, I keep saying Kickstarter, the Indiegogo is done. We should do another podcast recapping everything. And then maybe we can do it later at night and we can cheers a little cocktail. You can show me to make
Absolutely.
a cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get back to, that's so amazing though. Let's get back to the podcast. Again, for everybody listening at home or whatever, getcocktailcards.com is the place to go if you want to get your own set. Let's see how much we can get AJ to raise. So obviously the next step is launching on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. And our original plan was to launch on Kickstarter, but there was some issues along the way. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this is probably where the most hiccups, I think, in my process happened. And a lot of it was timing. Things change. Something like Kickstarter, they require a lot more time than maybe they required before to get approved. I contacted them. They said it shouldn't take that long. I still have not been approved to launch a Kickstarter with them. But one thing that really kind of got us in that situation was our design work and really getting a lot of feedback and really trying to hit guidelines deadlines because we're kind of on the clock here with the holidays. So that's like our number one priority is to get these out to everyone before Christmas so they can give them out as gifts and all that. So things were a little backed up with the design and, doing a Kickstarter, you kind of want those videos, you want those images, you want anything you can to, help promote the product, to get as much money as you can, let them know that this is a real concept. This is a real thing that's happening. You can see it work and do all that. So there were some hiccups there. I had some video issues as well. I had to record multiple times because I got some corrupt files on my audio. And so I had to redo that. Really what we had to do is just kind of scramble and switch over to Indiegogo, which actually, as I was filling it out, I realized it's pretty much the same exact thing. The only difference was it didn't require me to, there wasn't such a long process to get approved, it seemed like. So filling all that out, I did do some research. I looked up other successful campaigns. I took the notes that you taught to really hit the keynotes on there. And I just kind of modeled it and took it all and created my own post. I had friends over so we can share, how to use the product, which was really, really fun, really cool. And just getting all that information, highlighting the features, the benefits, all that type of stuff, getting it up on Kickstarter. And at this point, I've also hyped up the Kickstarter so much to my fans and my email list and my Facebook group that it had to happen this morning. There was no not happening. So I was up, till probably 2 a.m, filling out an Indiegogo and getting everything uploaded and getting it up and running. So it was a process. I would say if you can, as far as what I learned in this process, if you could fill out these sort of things a week ahead of time. Get the Kickstarter, get your Indiegogo, get it up, and at least looking like how you want it to look like a week ahead of time for any curveballs or anything that might not get approved, or depending on a business, right? they said it would be 3 business days to get approved. Well, I didn't think about that submitting it on a Thursday, that the weekend doesn't count as a business day, right? So that left me in a pretty tough situation. So if I would have planned out or somehow got this Kickstarter set up a week ahead of time or 2 weeks, and just, really kind of pre-planned on that, it would have obviously been far less headache. But luckily we had a backup plan, and that's something you were there for, to help me basically be like, hey, if this doesn't happen by this time, go over here and do the same thing. And because you got to figure it out. That's part of starting a business is there's going to be roadblocks. You just got to figure out how to get over them.
And one important thing I want to point out of what you said, AJ, is something I think is really important is setting a date. It's going to launch on this date, and you figure everything else out. Because if we went to set the date of it being today, the launch, we would have been like, oh, let's wait another week. And then it kept being, let's wait another week. So eventually announcing to your audience, announcing to everybody, it's going live on this date is a great idea to do. And assuming that there's nothing extremely outside of your control. For instance, I did this with Performance Nut Butter Cacao, and what ended up happening was my manufacturer delayed it by like a month or two. And I'm like, okay, never mind. Sorry. But generally speaking, I think it's a really smart idea to start telling people, hey, this is when the launch date's going to happen. And then backwards analyze and figure out what needs to happen by what days, give yourself some buffer. And then you're kind of forced, because almost everybody I know, when they go to finally launch a product on Indiegogo or Kickstarter, or even on Amazon, by the time they finally launch it, like the day before, they're scrambling, and like there's some like last minute stuff that needs to get done. So I think that's a very, very powerful tool. And go ahead.
Yeah, and that's just in business in general. It's very important to have, there's a reason why deadlines are a thing. There's a reason. One, it's obviously good to launch when your fans and your audience know you're going to launch, because that could be an extra 10% bump in sales versus waiting the next day or the next day, right? That could be the difference from you comfortably launching a product or not, who knows? But when you have those deadlines and you have those timelines that you have to fall within, you're going to get things done. And really one of the hardest parts of starting a business and running a business is being so self-motivated to where if things kind of are not going right, sometimes you just want to hit the reset button, just like take a day off and be like, I'll deal with it later. But if you can constantly move forward, I mean, if your goal is to be closer to your overall goal each and every day, then you'll get there 100 times easier than if you wait till the very end, or if at all, if you ever do get to that goal.
Yeah. So for everybody listening, again, you can go to Get Cocktail. Actually, before we wrap up, so this first one, I want to mention some different things here, but I'll still say go to getcocktailcards.com again, because I think it's so, you can at least, this is actually what I want you to do. Anybody listening, go to getcocktailcards.com and send AJ an email and tell him what you like about the Kickstarter page or the Indiegogo page, and how it could be improved, because we're going to be using a lot of this information so that we can improve our Amazon listing. AJ, what's an email that they can reach out to you?
They can just simply email me, aj@ajrants.com.
Perfect. And it's rantz.com, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So aj@ajrants.com. And I want to wrap up this podcast and explain. So the title of the podcast is How to Launch a Kickstarter to Start Amazon with $0. Now, AJ, in the first 6-8 hours, something like that, it's raised $1,500. Most Amazon products to start the entire Amazon business, and I've done videos on my main channel about this, you could probably do I have one student that did it for $1,500, all the way up to $5,000. Now, we're probably going to spend a little bit more because we're going to buy a lot more inventory. But the point is, expect it to cost you somewhere between $1,500 to $5,000 to start on Amazon. And you can easily raise, in fact, AJ has already raised $1,500, which is the same amount of money that one of my friends or one of my student/friends started his Amazon business for. So this is 100% doable. I get so many excuses of people telling me, well, I don't have enough money, or that's going to be too expensive. And maybe for you, maybe you have $5,000, but for you to start your Amazon business is going to be 10 or 15. You can always raise that extra money using Kickstarter or Indiegogo. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this podcast. Go to go to getcocktailcards.com, check out the website. And even if you don't want to support it, even if you don't want to buy a box, which I think it's an amazing product, you absolutely should, because it's going to make a good gift and a good store. Even if you don't want to do that, at least send AJ an email and tell him how he could improve that. We want your guys' feedback and we want your opinions. So anything else, AJ, before we wrap up?
That's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. This has been absolutely incredible and really cool to have you guys here on this part of the journey. This is great.
Cool. All right, everybody listening live on YouTube. So that was us just like live recording a podcast. I saw there was a lot of comments and stuff.
We can do comments.
Yeah, let's do some questions. And also, AJ, let me know if you need to sit down at some point. Because
I got a chair behind me.
Oh, do you? Okay.
I got the full bar set up.
Gotcha. Perfect. So I was
going to say,
standing
up just to stay awake.
Yeah. Thank you again for doing this.
Oh no, this is great.
Let's see. Love the content. Do you reckon? So someone asked us, do I recommend every Kickstarter has a video? Yeah, you should have a video. It helps sell the product. It's not hard to do. AJ, you want to, I don't know if we should save this for later, but do you want to talk a little bit about making the video, or is that also feel free if you start to like be too, I know what it's like to be really tired and be standing and all that kind of stuff. If you start to feel like you're fading, let me know, or if you want me just to take over talking.
No, I'm good. I used to stand for a living,
right?
Be at a bar. As far as like the video process itself, I did get some kind of information from a lot of places. Mostly I just kind of took, a template. Like you have a pretty simple template to follow. And really what you want to do is take all the benefits of your product and fit it into, 3 minutes. And it doesn't have to be fancy. Like you said earlier, I do have a nice camera and I have like equipment. But if I knew the power of what an iPhone could do or a Pixel could do, I probably wouldn't have spent that much money on camera gear, if I'm being totally honest. I would wait until a business was making more money for that. But, you just pull out your phone and, pump out some benefits and really find the pressure points, right? If you're creating a product, it's to solve some type of problem. So you got to pump that problem to people and then really talk about the ways your product can fix that problem and just try and compact it into 3 minutes. So it's really not that hard to do. I did go on Pexels and some other platforms where I got a little bit of B-roll footage as well. So if you're someone who doesn't love being on the camera that much and you want to do a voiceover and just kind of show your product and then use B-roll, that's also a very, very good option for some people out there. So I know that question probably comes from that sort of point of view, being nervous to be on camera and talk about your product. But yeah, it's really not that hard. Try to get a good image and try and get some good sound on the video as well. So pick up like a cheap lavalier microphone or something you can plug into your phone and, maybe get some light, record up against a window or something. And yeah, that's really all you need to create a good video. I would imagine it converts at a much, much higher rate.
Yeah.
Having some sort of video.
Definitely. Now, everybody watching on the live stream, we're at 26 likes. Let's see if we can get that up to 30 likes. So smash that like button. And I'd like to, and leave in the comments section, or in the chat section, let me know if you like these YouTube lives. I used to do them a little bit more often. I kind of stopped doing them because honestly, I wasn't seeing great engagement. I wasn't sure if it was the best use of my time. Let's see some other questions. Someone asked, like, are you nervous if you do an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter that people are going to steal your idea? I'll answer and then I'll see what AJ's thoughts are. My thought is I'm not nervous at all. Starting a business is a lot of work. And if my idea is so easy to copy that if someone sees my Indiegogo or Kickstarter and they go and they copy it, then something's wrong. Like if someone tried to copy the success that AJ is having right now, it would take him months because he built up an audience with YouTube. He's really an expert at this kind of stuff. And honestly, this is my biggest complaint when people ask this question. There's different types of people, right? The types of people that are skilled enough to do something like this aren't just sitting around looking for other people's ideas to copy. They've got their own stuff going on. Like for instance, for me, I see amazing ideas all the time. And I'm like, wow, that's $1 million idea, but I'm busy. I got my own stuff. Like I'm not going to drop everything I'm doing and go do this. Did you, AJ, were you nervous at all about putting this on Kickstarter or Indiegogo?
I would say some of the other products I thought about making, I was nervous. This one, not even the slightest.
Yeah.
And it's just because I know how much hard work I had to put in. Like we have a really unique part of our product is that you can actually scan each and every card. And I've created a video that actually gives you visual instruction on how to make cocktails as well. And if someone wants to also copy that, like good luck. They're going to be so far behind me to where if they do go into the space, I'm going to be the leader in that space. And competition isn't always bad, but if another product came out, worst case scenario, they'd be like, oh, there's another cocktail card company, right? Like they're going to call it based on your product because it doesn't exist. You're the first to the market, hitting it hard. And I know how much hard work people that like to copy products, I think, are people looking for the easy way out. And creating your own product is not the easy way out. So I felt 100% confident with that.
Awesome. Great answer. I got Jackson Snyder saying, "What up, Travis?" And I don't know. The name sounds familiar, so I don't know if it's someone I've met before, if it's just a random YouTube person. Jackson Snyder, this happens to me occasionally. People are like, I'll get messages on Instagram like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I'm like, "Good. Do I know you, or is this just?" And 90% of the time, it's just random. 98% of the time, it's just like random people. But let's see. Let's see what else we got here. We got a lot of comments actually. Is there? It's also, I'm trying to, let's see, is this a live direct is this just a video? Yeah, this is live. A few different people are asking if this is live.
That's good. That means we're doing a good job. I think it's
yeah.
pre-recorded.
Let's see. Are you selling on Amazon? I'm selling on Amazon. This will eventually be selling on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one thing that is a long-term goal with what we're doing is not only just sell on Amazon, but one thing that's really great about this product is we're going to eventually, and I think I did see a comment in here, we're going to eventually try to get into grocery stores, Costco's, liquor stores. We're not going to just only contain ourselves to Amazon, but Amazon's that perfect launch point.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. I just unplugged my headphones. All right. By the way, Grant has been asking saying all kinds of different things. And so first off, hi, Grant. I'm curious. He was talking about, he said, "Hey, can I share this to like 2,000 people?" Yeah, please do that. I don't know how much longer we're going to be on. We'll see. By the way, AJ, I realized, because the next podcast I wanted to record with you is just 7 lessons learned launching cocktail cards on Kickstarter. Why don't we wait until Wednesday not next week? Is it not next week, but the week after that? Is it the 14th is the last day set?
Yeah, it should be. I think it is the 14th. Yeah.
So maybe we'll get on here. We'll do another YouTube live then, and we can do that. Let's see. So I don't know if I want to go down this, but someone asked, "Do you think COVID-19 is a real problem, or is it just a political thing?" And I won't go too deep on this, but I will say that the economic issues that are going to come from everything going on, and not to mention like the psychological issues and all this kind of stuff, I think a lot of people would agree that there's who knows? The problem is we'll never know what would have happened if we didn't lock down to this degree we did. I will say that in LA, I think we're way overreacting because they recently like closed down like a bunch of public like workout equipment areas around me, and I'm like, I think some of the stuff's a little bit ridiculous. I don't know, AJ, if you want to touch this one or if you want to just. I'm happy to hear your opinion, and to me, it's just an opinion that I think the U.S. is overreacting a little bit, but you know what? Here, I'm a little bit nervous saying that because I'm sure people out there have had family members that have died from it and all that kind of stuff. But when I look at the data, I think it's an overreaction. But if you want to mention that, you can, or we can just pass on.
Yeah, I actually do. I have a degree in biochemical engineering, so I actually studied a lot of this type of stuff in college, and Obviously I'm not in there studying it now, so I can't give anyone a professional opinion, but I know certain things can affect different people. It's, over time there's been a lot of diseases that have affect some people and then wipe out entire countries. So it's we don't know. Really, it's so tough for us to figure that stuff out. But I do know people personally who have been affected by it, who were healthy, probably more healthy than me. One person even passed away from it. So I know that it's legit in the fact that it can be deadly. Outside of that, I'm obviously not studying or active in this stuff anymore. So I don't really think I could give a any sort of like knowledgeable, you know, content there.
So that's really fast. See, to me, my point of view is like, look, I think our response early on 100% was necessary because we had no idea what we were dealing with. But I don't know anyone that's personally been affected. I don't know if I know people that know people that know people that have been affected. Like that's the extent, more or less. So that's fascinating. So you know someone that was like you said, healthier than you and young and passed away from this?
Young, yeah, they're on a respirator for 4 days, and then like almost like an iron lung respirator, and then passed away from it. Yeah.
Wow. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
hear that. Was it somebody close to you or was it?
Not someone close to me. It's someone I knew from school.
Okay. Yeah. Still very sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting. What I'd like to, there's a few things I'd like to see. I'd like to see more data. And I think it's really weird that, again, maybe this is a totally a random, I think it's really weird that we incentivize hospitals to, I'm sure this is a more complicated issue than I'm giving it credit for, but I wonder if some of the numbers are overinflated because we are incentivizing hospital. We're saying, hey, if you have a reported case of COVID-19, then we're going to help. We're going to give you money. So it's like, well, that's going to help drive up the numbers. It may end up, I've heard stories, again, not an expert, of people that die of other causes, but they happen to have COVID-19. And so they're like, oh, or they were going to die anyways. And so that's why, and it seems weird that our numbers are so much higher than a lot of other countries, but that would make a lot of sense if we're actually incentivizing. So, all right,
Yeah.
no more, probably shouldn't touch any more political things, I'm realizing. Um, let's see.
I know as far as is just affecting like actual business though, online business. I mean, we're definitely moving more and more and more into a society where we're just going to have to, buy and sell stuff online. So as far as like this actual business and everything going on right now, I hate to benefit from something bad happening, but creating an online business and selling stuff on Amazon and things right now it's definitely creating, I think, a slightly bigger opportunity than maybe there was before.
Oh yeah, no, this is, again, I hate to say it, but this is like the perfect thing for my businesses. Not to mention the whole YouTube thing and like teaching people, because all of a sudden I got a huge spike when this first happened of people like, I want to start an online business. And I'm like, I've been telling you guys for years, you should be getting your businesses online and be making money online. So I know Grant also said, would I like to come along for a YouTube weekend in June 2021? Send me more information. You can send it to travis@effectiveecommerce.com. And I'll forward it to AJ. Maybe even he's quite the YouTuber as well. It depends on a lot of different things. He said it's in Boston, Massachusetts. First off, I don't know if by June next year things are going to be back to normal and back open, but let's see. Cocktail cards. Thanks, Grant. All right. Oh, you know what? Let's see. Someone asked about what tool I'd recommend for keyword research. I just did a video talking about Helium 10. I don't even have it in my the tools I recommend section anymore. I should add that to my description. Let's see. Rosie Life says it shows this site can't be reached. Rosie, I don't know if you're still with us. Which site is that? I don't think it's Get Cocktail Cards, right? Oh, no. Oh, that's not good.
Is it not working? It's working on my computer.
No, it was, it's the effective e-commerce link for the course. I don't know why. That's really weird. Let me just get you 2 seconds to fix this and then we'll get back to things. I was just messing with it earlier and of course it breaks in the middle of a, I don't know why it would add like that. Well,
Georgia says, AJ, link cannot be reached. I wonder if you guys are also talking about the cocktail cards as well. I'm curious.
let's see. Get cocktail cards works, it looks like. Maybe the course sign up link's not working, so that could be what they're talking about here. Oh, maybe if I do HTTPS, maybe that was the mistake. Yeah. All right, I'm going to fix this right here live, and then I'm going to get back to it. It'll take 2 more seconds.
I could answer questions.
Yeah, go ahead. Go for
while
it.
You do
Yeah.
that. Let's see. So Grant asks, how many packs of cocktail cards can you produce in a short period of time? Could you make drink menu cards for hotels and airlines? Yeah, so I think we're going in between. So when you talk to a manufacturer and discuss products, they give you a different price range, whether you purchase, 100, 500, 1,000, 10,000 units. So we're probably going to be somewhere in around like the 1,000 unit, I think, is probably around where we're going to go. So yeah, and then they have to go through the process of creating the product, and then you can decide whether to ship the product, by sea or by plane, which plane is obviously much, much faster. So yeah, we can create really as many as we want in a short period of time. The problem is you have to pay for the products, right, in order to have them made and sent to you. But as far as doing drink cards for hotels and airliners, maybe if we expand the business at some point, we might think about doing that. We're actually thinking more of possibly turning this into like an online like cocktail training program as well. That's probably more the direction we're going. But I think as far as like physical products, we're just really, really focused on this and getting this launched and this up and running. And then who knows, like anything could really happen after that.
Yeah, and I'll mention that Ariana has been like, there was a winery that reached out to her and said, oh, basically she wants to private label vino cards. And at the end of the day, it's just not worth it because it's just so much extra work. And the manufacturing 100 units would be very cost prohibitive. Let's see. So John,
link?
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to take a little while before it, like, it fixes on the computer and everything. Frustrated about that, but that's a conversation for another time. It's my own fault. So John said, it seems to me you'd want to try to raise your entire startup cost, if not more. Why are we only doing $1,500? And the reason why is I'm putting some money into the business. AJ's putting some money into the business. And we both agreed that we want to do this, even if we can't raise all the money on Indiegogo. In fact, it's very, it's not super easy to raise a ton of money on Indiegogo or Kickstarter. It's relatively easy to raise a small amount of money, but if you want to raise $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, like I raised $15,000 Performance Nut Butter, totally doable, but it takes some work. And so what we realized is, and I think that AJ could, if you put more effort and energy into it, raise $10,000 easily on Indiegogo. But I realized that this will sell really well on Amazon because people are searching for it. And this is the kind of this. So we're going to do this product either way. So the $1,500 was just to validate it. And AJ hit that in the first 8 hours, whatever it was, 6 hours, something.
Yeah. And that's also like our minimum goal, right? Like we're still doing this for 2 more weeks as well. So we're going to continue marketing, maybe do promotions along the way or something to incentivize people to get on there and, keep getting the product. Like this is literally the cheapest you'll ever be able to purchase this product. So it's a huge motivation, not just for us to reach a goal, but for our consumers to get in at the best price possible. So yeah, 1,500 is just kind of our minimum that we wanted to make sure that this is, a legit market for a legit product. So, oh, my dog's being noisy.
So he said someone's saying, so maybe it's the link in the YouTube video isn't linking. Let me see. Getcocktailcards.com. Oh yeah, it says the site can't be reached. Let me see. I might have misspelled something. Is it an HTTPS? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a regular HTTP.
I had it as HTTPS, I think.
So it works if I get rid of the S for me, but
Okay.
but if I put yeah, all right. Well, I'm going to fix that right now. How do I edit video?
Yeah, and you guys can also just type it in. If you just type in getcocktailcards.com, it should work.
Yeah, so you can go. In fact, can we get a few people here? Go to getcocktailcards.com and maybe live on this during this live, like give us some feedback on what would make the Indiegogo page look even better, or some things that maybe we could add. So I updated it in the description, and it should now be live. Let me see if I think I can add an info card for anybody to make it even easier. I've always wanted to try this live. Let's see, add info card. Your video is currently processing. Please check back later. Let me see if I can do it over in this other section. Add stream marker, create highlight video. I don't know what half this stuff is. Never mind. All right. Let's see. Yeah, important man's health said, can we ask questions here? Go for it. Let's see. How much longer should we go, AJ? What do you think?
I'm free all day. This is what I'm doing. It's all cocktail card stuff. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and answer some question. Grant, let me try. So someone said even without the S, it wasn't working, which let me see. I felt like I just fixed it. Get cocktail cards. Unless I misspelled something. That's always a possibility with me. Getcocktailcards.com. That should work. Let's go to YouTube. This is the fun part about doing things live, everybody.
Yeah. I'd be curious if anyone can just type in www.getcocktailcards.com if it's working. I did have some issues last night because when I created a redirect, if you don't have www, it's instant. It works right away. But if you redirect a www, it actually takes 24 hours for it to change over. And it happened pretty quick. So it happened in time for the Kickstarter. But there may be some glitchy issues that might happen with it too.
Let's see here. All right, now both the links should be fixed. Mike P says, worked for me. Any idea for stretch goals? I don't know if anyone's got any thoughts on that. Or sorry, any AJ? I don't know if we have any stretch goals for now.
As far as
so it's like if we raise $10,000, you're gonna throw a party. I don't know, something like that.
Oh yeah, if we raise $10,000, we will definitely throw a party.
A cocktail party, a socially distanced cocktail party. Exactly. All right, so it looks like a lot of people, the links are working, so that's good. What else, guys? Hey, Grant, so I see you're active again. Tell us a little bit more about the YouTube Summit, that thing you got going on. And do you have a YouTube channel, Grant? Like, what's your story? The problem is there's always a delay with this stuff. So I know, Grant, you're going to hear this a little bit. I'll throw it in the chat too. I'll throw cocktail cards. I mean, you can even go here. I'll give you the direct link. That way we just avoid anything. I guess I could have done that in the other thing. Let me see what else. That's most of what I got. Like I'm down to keep talking, AJ, about anything you want. But like I said, not next week, but the week after that, we'll have you back on live and we can talk in more depth. I think it might be worth it to have you lay down for a little bit and relax. Cause I know what it's like to not sleep the day before launching, and then to be on like a YouTube live, and it can be exhausting.
Yeah, it's pretty fun though. I think getting the results that we have so quickly on the Indiegogo is just giving me like energy.
I was so pumped. Like I woke up, honestly, when we talked last, I'm kind of a control freak. And so when we talked last, I was like, I'm letting go of control. And so when I checked it this morning, I half expected it not to be up, but then I looked and it was at like $500 and I was like, oh, dope. And then I kept watching and it kept increasing. Jalaze Omed said, do I have any course? Yes. You missed it earlier. I was talking about it. It's going to be actually reopening next Tuesday, which I'm excited about. There's a link in the description down below. You can join the wait list for that. And in fact, that reminds me, this is the problem. The more I talk, the more ideas I have like just flowing out of me. And I'm like, oh, I need to fix this and I need to take care of this. I think with, yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Is there anything else? Anything else, AJ, you want to cover? Or should we just let you get some rest and we can let you focus on some other stuff?
I'm down if you think we've covered enough.
I think so.
Yeah, seems like we answered all the questions, which is pretty good.
Yeah. Cool. All right, guys, everybody, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys this coming Thursday. I'm releasing a really amazing video. A friend of mine, Mina, is coming on the channel, and he's talking about his first year selling on Amazon, a friend/student. Yeah. And definitely go check out go to getcocktailcards.com. Check out the links down below in the description for that information. And that's a lot of calls to action. So support Cocktail Cards. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye now. All right. Let me